Our next guest has weighed in along with General Mattis. He too is retired four-star Marine Corps general, former commander of U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan. About Monday, John Allen writes, and I quote, "Remember the date. It may well signal the beginning of the end of the American experiment." He went on to write, "And while Monday was truly horrific, no one should have been surprised. Indeed, the moment was clarifying in so many ways." General Allen is currently president of the Brookings Institution, and he joins us now. General Allen, thanks so much for being with us. The beginning of the end of the American experiment, when I read that, I just found it really chilling, given your experience and all you have seen. Can you just elaborate on that?
Anderson, we haven't been at this place in history, in the history of this country, ever. Let's remember what's going on here. We're experiencing a global lethal pandemic, over 107,000 dead, more than 40 million unemployed. Our economy is in tatters, almost 2 million Americans infected. All of that's an operating system over just 4 months behind this awful moment of the death of George Floyd. And let me just take a moment and offer my deepest condolences to the family and to the community of Minneapolis on Mr. Floyd's passing, and how incredibly emotional that memorial service was today. And so it's a moment, an incredible moment for us, Anderson, in the context of we can take this as an opportunity to look at those factors that have brought hundreds of thousands of Americans into the streets to protest massive social injustice, centuries of racism and discrimination. Or we can make this a security problem and ultimately treat those individuals as a security problem themselves as they're seeking to exercise their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. And of course, that thing which is prized by us in so many ways in America, the right to dissent. And so we can take this moment, the leaders of this country can take this moment and take stock of why we are in this situation. And we can judge the issues with compassion, empathy, sympathy, and instead of debating whether to commit federal troops against American citizens, let's debate how we can pursue real reform. Let's look at the legislative changes that need to be made, the reforms from the bottom up of the police forces, and how Washington can partner with governors and with mayors rather than upbraid them, to see how we can take this moment and, rather than treat the American people as a potential enemy, treat the American people as a population with guaranteed rights under the Constitution who are in enormous pain right now, pain from the pandemic and pain from the realities of what was ultimately at the heart of the death of George Floyd. Let's use this as the moment, as I said at the end of this, at the end of my paper, as a moment, not ultimately to make this a security issue, but an issue of hope. And if we do that, this is the opportunity for us to save the American democracy, reinforce that which is at the center of it, our Constitution, and move forward as a people united. This is the chance the president has, and I hope he'll seize it.
You know, I mean, not only in your career of service and what you saw around the world and in all the posts that you held, but just as a leader of men and women in battle and in peace and in war, but also American forces, but also international forces when you were in Afghanistan. I'm just wondering, what did you learn about leadership, leading Black and brown and Asian and white and people from all different countries around the world, that this leader, that this president does not understand?
Well, I can't tell you what he understands or not, Anderson, but I can simply tell you what I know with respect to leadership. And that is the finest leaders that I know are humble servants, those who are willing to lead from the front, those who are willing to make themselves accessible, those who demonstrate real compassion and respect for those that they lead. I grew up in a service when I was very young. I enlisted when I was 17, and one of the greatest challenges we had in the very early 70s was the issue of race. And we overcame it by learning how to respect each other and how to trust each other and how to lead from a position of humility and lead from a position of the sense by officers that we truly serve those that we lead. And those examples are on full display in our terrific military every single day. And I served with Jim Mattis, and he was one of those kinds of leaders, as was Mike Mullen and Jim Stavridis and others who've expressed themselves on this issue. But I have to tell you that those kinds of qualities are desperately needed right now. The American people are looking for leadership at the senior levels, at the most senior level. And this is a chance for the president to truly unite the country as he tries to lead us through the COVID crisis, but also to lead our people through this moment of intense pain by virtue of centuries of inequity and social injustice and inequality. It can't be about security. It has got to be about the future, bringing our people together and resolving these issues of inequality. Here is the president's chance to truly lead our country forward in a unified manner.
Things like police reform, criminal justice reform, and obviously, look, they're very complex issues. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But something like, how much do you think something like police reform is about leadership ultimately?
It's all about leadership, Anderson. Any reform is about leadership. Now, there will be components that are technical dimensions to it. There will be equipping and training and education and recruiting. All of those things fit in some form or another in the larger spectrum of policing. But it's all about leadership. It's about the leaders at the heads of the various forces, the commissioners and the police chiefs, setting the example, setting high standards for performance, ensuring that police are trained to the right kinds of standards so that as they're doing community policing, they are identified as being of the people and not against the people. And you've seen this already. The reporting, CNN has done this reporting, and others, where police officers, police leadership, and the police themselves, in this awful moment, have taken the opportunity to take a knee and hold hands with those who are demonstrating, to show solidarity with why they are demonstrating, why are they in such pain, and how can the police protect them as they demonstrate, and how can the police be part of the solution and not be viewed as the problem. And Anderson, as you well know, the vast majority of the police in this country serve selflessly. Their lives are on the line every single day, and some of them are paying with their lives, probably even as we speak, because of the attacks on the police. This is an opportunity for reform from the bottom up, and it's an opportunity for leadership from the top down. That was my point when I said, when you look at what was happening on the 1st of June, we as a people have an opportunity, a rare opportunity, that comes along only very infrequently in our history, during moments of great crisis and duress, for the leadership of this country to exercise the kind of compassion, the kind of assertive leadership that can solve these problems once and for all and bring the country together, get us through this pandemic, recover our economy, and ultimately take the leadership position on the globe that the United States should.